Rewriting human history without paradigms and enigmas. We start out with perhaps the oldest myth in the world to have something to depart from, and have a provisory overview, and next we will back it up with unedited and an unedited number of proofs, including all relevant ancestral markers as well as other markers, including the enigmatic Mitochondrial Eve as enigmatic proof for out of America. Viracocha or Tiki. The myth starts out with a South American deity named Viracocha, also named Tiki, and his direct followers, that are tall bearded men, that or at least their representations present similarities with the Moai of Easter Island, certain aspects of Buddhism, but especially the also bearded men of Mesopotamia, or rather the Sumerians, the old man of Gobekli Tepe, especially Tepe, and its network, with his ribs sticking out, and with many statues and artifacts across the world. The figure that is perhaps the most seen in this context across the world is a man figure with his hands close to his belly or genitals, wearing a belt and a V collar, and two wild or feral animals flanking him or nearby. What matters is that the elements run around the world, across places that are not supposed to be connected, at least not back then. Spreading knowledge, technologies, and especially better humans. Viracocha spreads knowledge and technologies and replaces unpleasant giants with more pleasant humans. Tall bearded men. Viracocha and the tall bearded men are located next to Titicaca Lake in South America. Viracocha spreads out these more convenient humans to the rest of the world. Logically including we all 8 billion actually living modern humans. All these humans and we modern humans are hybrids from the original human. Lake Titicaca. Lake Titicaca is the largest lake in Peru and is located west of the Andes and flows to and drains into the Pacific Ocean. The second largest lake, and is located in central Peru, flows into the Amazon River, and drains into the Atlantic Ocean in Belém. Pacific and Atlantic Ocean connected. As such, through Peru the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean are connected. The same is the case for Colombia and Ecuador. Colombia has the shortest and the most river connections. It connects the Pacific with the Atlantic through at least 3 important Atlantic rivers. At the headings of all these connecting rivers important archaeological sites developed in ancient times, and still are testament of this important past today. This way the Americas become kind of the center, belly, or one of the bellies of the world, and can organize expeditions to, and trade with the rest of the world. It is from these archaeological sites that migrations and population turnover events of other continents departed with ocean-worthy ships and fleets, where we can find archaeological evidence of. These migrations and population turnover events of other continents, including of Europe and Eurasia, Europe, especially the Atlantic facade apparently being the latest of them all. Resuming all this, but with more information and with more evidences, is the object of other videos. PV 92, Austronesian Expansion and Population Y. The enigmatic ancestral marker PV 92 is associated with the out of America expansion, the Austronesian expansion, Polynesia as well as the population Y. PV 92 is the most enigmatic marker, simply because it is the oldest, and is spread amongst all 8 billion modern humans. Obviously the highest frequencies of the oldest PV 92 ancestral marker, which involves a hybridization or mutation, can be found at the origin, in this case of all humans and all today's 8 billion humans. These highest frequencies of PV 92 are in the Amazon forest, exactly in the places that present the archaeological evidence, and myths, of the creation of a new race of humans by Viracocha, or some kind of a deity and culture similar to Viracocha. Austronesian expansion and secondary places inland. In secondary places like Mesopotamia or the supposed cradle of civilization, which culture obviously is a consequence of Gobekli Tepe and its network, similar symbols, artifacts and statues are present, and can be found along and at the heads of rivers. Most notably Gobekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, in this particular case at the heads of the Tigris and Euphrates. Japan is another secondary place along the Austronesian expansion, earlier than Gobekli Tepe and Mesopotamia. We deduce this, simply because the Austronesian expansion and or out of the Americas took place 50 to 80,000 years ago, while Mesopotamia and even Gobekli Tepe and its network are much younger. We conclude that Japan is still earlier than Mesopotamia because there are places that present native peoples that still today carry DNA of population Y and PV 92, that are at least 50,000 years old. India is another secondary place along the Austronesian expansion, also earlier than Gobekli Tepe and Mesopotamia. We conclude that India is still earlier than Mesopotamia, because there are places that present native peoples that still today carry DNA of population Y and PV92. Tibet and Central Asia are again secondary places. There is no such convincing genetic or archaeological evidence for out of Africa. In fact, there is not one fossil of Mitochondrial Eve. Yet dogma is so strong that nobody notices and recognizes the complete absence of any relevant evidence. This ever since that out of Asia lost its status against out of Africa, somewhere at the end of the former century. Almost nobody talks about the fact that for a long period of time out of Asia was predominant because of the massive finds of the fossils of hundreds of upright walking humans, this mainly in Java and China. Both places are firmly in range of the Austronesian expansion route, or the Pacific out of the Americas expansion route, with consensus wrongly using evidence of migration to justify out of Africa. You probably heard of the back migrations to Africa, and the routes of supposed out of Africa lying in Asia and or to the east. Mesopotamia and India are only some of these many cases. Dominant African haplogroup E is not African. Haplogroup E is indeed the most dominant Y chromosome haplogroup in Africa. Haplogroup DE is the root of E and has its root outside Africa, deep into Asia. Tibet and Central Asia are proven extensions inland departing from the Austronesian expansion. Haplogroup D reaches Tibet and Central Asia through the Irrawaddy River, which is the most significant waterway in Myanmar, formerly Burma, flowing south from the northern part of the country to the Andaman Sea. Myanmar dates back over 10,000 years. This is much older than Mesopotamia and could be similar or much older than Gobekli Tepe. Evidence suggests that human settlement in Myanmar dates back over 10,000 years, with early Neolithic and Paleolithic sites found in various regions. While Myanmar is not so well known today, it possesses a rich and complex ancient culture that is evident in its architecture, art, literature, and traditions. This culture is a blend of indigenous influences, Mon people, Theravada Buddhism, and interactions with other cultures like those in India, China, and Thailand. Still today, the Irrawaddy River is a major transportation route, and vital for agriculture and water resources. While the origin of haplogroup DE is debated, evidence suggests it is not rooted in Africa, but rather in Asia. Studies indicate that haplogroup DE originated around 70,000 years ago near Tibet and Central Asia. The greatest diversity in haplogroup D, which is part of haplogroup DE, is found in Tibet, supporting this Asian and/or American origin. Furthermore, Wikipedia notes that a back migration into Africa and subsequent admixture with native African populations is a possibility. Haplogroup E is indeed the most dominant Y chromosome haplogroup in Africa. Specifically, haplogroup EM2 is the most prevalent subclade of haplogroup E within sub-Saharan Africa. While haplogroup E is prominent throughout Africa, other haplogroups like EM215, also known as E1b1b or EM35, is found in North Africa and the Horn of Africa, and has also expanded into other regions, and consequently also found in significant frequencies across Africa. Advanced metallurgy across the world during the Younger Dryas. Advanced metallurgy, even involving alloys, is present in the Americas as well as in Europe and Western Eurasia around or before the Younger Dryas or roughly 12,900 years ago. Advanced metallurgy was present along the Austronesian expansion, involving Asia, long before, most probably already 50 to 80,000 years ago or more. The archaeological evidence for this is massive, but quite simply not recognized. All this is the subject in videos about the Younger Dryas as well as about agriculture and climate destruction amongst others.